Hello and welcome. Today we are crossing the pond. Not just crossing the pond, we are actually going to cross the pond, as in we are participating in the 2021 Westbound Cross the Pond edition. I haven't been participating in this event for years, so there is some new aspects this time. First of all, the booking system has been redone and the clearances are not issued via HF radio anymore. It is via simulated CPDLC, just like we did in Oceanic Procedures 3 video, where we were going from Paris-Orly and to Martinique. In other words, it is going to be the same way that we'll be asking clearance today. So if you were unlucky and did not get a spot, then feel free to fly with me. I'd be very happy to have you on board. Or if you are maybe considering to join the event next time, then you might find this video interesting, because I will go over everything that is expected of you as a participant from start to finish. If you haven't already, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and tell me what you'd like to see next time. Let's get going. Welcome aboard. We have got about 50 minutes until takeoff time, so I have already begun the cockpit preparations. Let us look at what the booking looks like when you receive it, and let us talk a little bit about what to do next and important things to keep in mind. So this is what it looks like. This is our actual booking containing all the information that we need. We've got here our call sign, our departure time, and our departure and arrival, our flight level for the crossing, and a unique cell call code that has been given to us in order to ensure that all the pilots crossing have a different cell call code, so you don't get some kind of problem there with a duplicate cell call, for instance. And down here we've got briefings. This is our departure briefing for Copenhagen, and then we have our arrival briefing here for Toronto Pearson, and an Oceanic briefing. I will not go through these briefings from start to finish. I'll just tell you some of the important points in these briefings. If we start by looking down here, then we have our takeoff time. That is very important, as this is not the pushback time. This is the time that we are actually cleared for takeoff, and it's pretty important for the traffic flow and in order for the traffic controllers to ensure a smooth flow, that we are ready to take off at this time. This is our full route, and we are crossing via track Alpha. Our TMI number is 114, and this is the Oceanic routing. In other words, this is track Alpha. This is not the same as the real track Alpha, so you will not be able to look online on the Nattrak website, for instance, as track Alpha is this routing for our crossing today. In other words, if you, for instance, are using SimBrief and it suggests track Alpha, then you need to be 100% sure that the waypoints actually corresponds with the waypoints listed here. You could either open SimBrief down here, that will actually auto populate most of the flight plan, or you can simply just copy and paste the route up here, and then you will have the correct routing. Again, the flight level 360. This does not mean that you have to file and fly 360 out of your departure. This is actually just your flight level for the crossing and the flight level that you have to request for the Oceanic crossing. Depending on your direction of travel for the first part of your flight, you might need to have an odd flight level. Or like today, I am starting out at flight level 340, and then flight level 360 will be a step climb, and we will of course be planning accordingly, so we will be ready to step climb prior to our Oceanic entry. And we are going westbound, so our flight level will of course have to be an even flight level, which 360 and 340 is. And then again down here, our cell call code, which we will remember to put into our pilot client when we are logging onto Vatsim. When attending to this event, or any other event for that matter, I strongly encourage you to look at the briefings because they contain so much great and useful information. I will just open the Copenhagen briefing here. I'll not go through it as I said earlier, but I'll just point out some of the important aspects. If we look at the table of contents here, we can see what scenery they prefer, and we can also see a lot of the local procedures. But if we start at the top here, then we can see the earliest we can log on before our slot, which was our takeoff time, is 60 minutes before. That is not to occupy the stand for another outgoing traffic, as the airports will be pretty full during this event. And the latest is 30 minutes before our slot, but generally I think it's a better idea to aim to be online 60 minutes before your slot time, just to have enough time to set up the aircraft, etc. And down here we can see there's a lot of useful information. We can see where the gates are best suitable for heavy aircrafts and so forth. And again, timing is key. There is a little bit more timing in this than your average Vatsim event or Vatsim flight. So we can see here, call for clearance is around 30 minutes before our slot. So that is important to note. And our startup time, the time where we'll be cleared for push and start, will be 15 minutes before our slot. This of course means that we'll be calling for clearance 30 minutes before our slot, and we'll be fully ready to push and start 15 minutes before our slot time with the tow truck ready, awaiting our instructions. With our clearance, we will be issued at what time we can expect startup, and it might be earlier than 15 minutes before our slot. And we have to make sure to follow these instruction and only call for startup at the time that we received with our clearance, if that makes any sense. Don't worry if it's a bit confusing, because we will be putting this into practice in just a moment. Welcome back into the cockpit. We've got about 18 minutes before we have to ask our departure clearance, so let us grab the ATIS.
This is Castrop Airport Departure and Arrival Information Hotel. Met report 1420, expect ILS approach, visual approach on request, arrival runway 04 left after landing, vacate runway, departure runway 04 right. Transition level 60, automatic weather report, wind 320 degrees 15 knots, visibility more than 10 kilometers, no cloud detected, temperature 9, dew point -9 QNH 1024, temporary, wind 320 degrees 15 knots, gust 25 knots. If unable to follow, sit advice on initial contact, squawk mode Charlie on pushback. This was Castrop Airport Departure and Arrival Information Hotel.
So it's runway 04 today, and we've got some moderate wind and clear skies. Today we are flying the 752 with winglets and Rolls-Royce engines. We are flying Bluescan, also known as TUI Fly Nordic. You have probably all heard about TUIjet, but well, TUI Fly Nordic is a charter company operating out of several airports here in the Nordic countries, including Copenhagen. TUI Fly Nordic operates both short, medium and long-haul flights to various leisure destinations. I actually don't believe that Toronto is one of them, but since it's a charter airline, then I thought it was a pretty good call sign to pick for today's flight. They have even also had 752s in their fleet. They're probably most known for their 737s and 767s, but they did actually, for back in the days, operate 752s. I'll do the last bit of the setting up here, and then I'll talk to you when we have to ask our departure clearance. The scenery we are looking at here is Payware scenery by Flight Tampa. It's the most accurate Copenhagen scenery that you can get, and in my opinion it's really well made. So we've got about 3 minutes until we have to ask our departure clearance, but I'm just going to ask it now anyways, because it's always good to have just a couple of minutes to spare, and it does not seem to be that busy actually, so I'm sure that they don't mind.
Kastrup delivery, good afternoon, Blue Scan 131, Boeing 752, stand Charlie 10, requesting clearance to Toronto Pearson. We have hotel on board, QNH 1024.
Blue Scan 131, Kastrup delivery, god eftermiddag to Toronto, Lango 1 Alpha departure, score 5216.
Clear to Toronto via the Lango 1 Alpha departure, squawk 5216, Blue Scan 131.
Blue Scan 131, feedback correct, expected startup time 1518 Zulu.
Expecting startup at 1518 Zulu, Blue Scan 131.
And as we talked about earlier, we can now expect to get a startup clearance by 1518 Zulu, so we'll have to be ready and ask for push and start by that time. And that is 5 minutes early. But that's okay, we can make that is no problem. We are now fully ready with the tow truck on standby.
And Blue Scan 131, we are fully ready.
Blue Scan 131, roger, contact Kastrup Apron 121.625.
Kastrup Apron on 121.625, Blue Scan 131. And Blue Scan 131, good afternoon, stand Charlie 10, we are fully ready.
Blue Scan 131, Kastrup Apron, push and start is approved, QNH 1024.
Push and start approved, QNH 1024, Blue Scan 131.
So no tug release point, so we'll just push tail into the alley.
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go. So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
And Blue Scan 131, we are ready for taxi.
Blue Scan 131, enjoy your flight and contact Apron 121.9. Bye bye.
Apron on 121.9. Thanks a lot, Blue Scan 131. Kastrup Apron, good afternoon, Blue Scan 131, ready to taxi on Quebec.
Blue Scan 121, taxi via Quebec, Delta, hold short runway 3, set up.
Taxi via Quebec, Delta, and hold short runway 30, blue scan 131.
We are now up here, and we'll be going down via Quebec, straight on to Delta, and then hold short here at runway 30. Then we'll be transferred to Tower, then Tower will clear us for the crossing, and then on the other side we'd most likely be going via Charlie, then on to Bravo, and then to one of the holding points down here, preferably Bravo 1, since we are pretty heavy today.
Blue scan 131, call the tower now, 118.575, bye-bye.
Tower on 118.575, blue scan 131, bye bye. Kastrup Tower, good afternoon, blue scan 131, taxiing on Delta.
Blue scan 131, Kastrup Tower, good afternoon. Cross runway 30, taxi via Charlie and Bravo.
Cross runway 30 and taxi via Charlie and Bravo, blue scan 131.
Contact Kastrup Tower, frequency 119.350, good evening.
Kastrup Tower on 119.350, blue scan 131, thank you, good evening.
Kastrup Tower, good evening, left ticket 9961 on Alpha, hold short 12.
That's again 99961.
And Kastrup Tower, good evening, blue scan 131 with you, taxiing on Bravo.
Blue scan 131, Kastrup Tower, good evening, taxi holding point Bravo 1, 104 via Bravo.
Holding point 04 right, Bravo 1 via Bravo, blue scan 131.
Blue scan 131, you can expect departure in about 6 minutes.
Blue scan 131.
Tower, FedEx 278. FedEx 278, Kastrup Tower, good evening, taxi holding point Bravo 2, one-way 04 right. Blue scan 131, after departure, contact Copenhagen departure 124.9975, winds 34, 0 degrees 17 knots, one-way 04 right, clear for takeoff, go to.
Runway 04 right, cleared for takeoff. After departure, contact Kastrup. Departure on 124.975, blue scan 131, tak skal du have.
Good evening, taxi rolling point Bravo 1, runway 04 right.
Rolling point Bravo 04 right. Lufthansa 89.
And it's 15:38 Zulu and we are about to take off. That is really an expert job done by the ATC, getting us off the ground on our exact slot time.
Fitting 278, line up and wait, runway 04 right.
Line up and wait to 04 right, FedEx 278.
Climb flight level 190, blue scan 131.
The aircraft just officially went haywire. I mean, look at the route on the PFD. I have definitely never encountered this before. It seems like that the autopilot does not want to fully disengage, and a moment ago I was even not allowed to increase the throttle manually. I'll try to put a direct into to the FMC, direct to the next waypoint. The route was definitely not messed up on the ground, so I don't really understand this behavior. Okay, it seems like the situation is resolved. Let us just do a quick debrief. So what happened is that when you are about 1,000 feet above ground level, then you hit the autopilot in the 757. You definitely don't want to do it before, because then you end up in some kind of behavior just like this, but normally not so severe as what we just have encountered. But I was about a little bit over 1,000 feet above ground level. I was about to hit the autopilot, so I could get my hands free to contact ATC, which you have to do by 1,000 feet. Here in Copenhagen, you have to contact the departure controller by yourself, you don't get a handoff. But then, instead of engaging, somehow it seems like the plane went out of trim, or it was certainly trimmed nose down, and it did a throttle back, which did put us in a quite bad situation. And of course, the autopilot messing up should never be an excuse. That is why I tried to disconnect it without any luck. It seems like the auto throttle somehow re-engaged by itself, because the throttle, my hardware throttle, became unresponsive, and then you get your hands full. That is why there are two pilots in real life, so you can kind of communicate with ATC and fly the aircraft and try to resolve any problems. But enough about that. We are on our way, and no harm done. Luckily we were able to somewhat follow the routing.
131, contact Copenhagen on 121.375, go to.
Copenhagen on 121.375, blue scan 131, tak skal du have, bye bye.
Lufthansa 3 to something. Lufthansa 829.
Copenhagen Control, good afternoon, blue scan 131 with you, passing flight level 100, inbound Tobis.
Blue scan 131 Copenhagen, hello, identifying climb flight level 280.
Climb flight level 280, blue scan 131.
Blue scan 131, proceed direct BAFTA.
And proceed direct BAFTA, blue scan 131.
We are now on our way, and we've got a little over an hour of cruising to do before we have to ask our Oceanic clearance via the Nattrak tool. We have to send the clearance request by 1650 Zulu, so as always it's important to keep a lookout for the time, because we won't be getting a handoff. There is an exception, however. If you are flying through the Santa Maria Oceanic, then you don't have to use the Nattrak tool. Then you will ask via voice, and depending on your departure airport in that region, then you might end up to be closer to the Oceanic entry than 40 minutes, and in that case you just have to ask as soon as possible. But I ain't going to talk more about that, because that does not apply to us today. So there's not happening much more now. I'll be back with you when we are going to fill out the form and send our Oceanic clearance request. It's been a good hour of cruising. In about 7 minutes we have to ask our Oceanic clearance via the Nattrak tool. But before we do that, then let me just remind you to hit the like button if you like the content. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, it really helps me out. And at last, leave a comment, tell me what I can do better, or tell me if there's anything you'd like to see for the next time, then it would be fun to do. And I'll of course gladly answer any questions posted in the comment section. I'll try to do so as fast as possible, or even maybe create a video about it. I just turned down the volume a little bit because of the constant chattering on the frequency. Let us talk about the Oceanic clearance. We are expecting waypoint GOMOP at time 1727 Zulu, not to be confused with GOMOD, just a few lines above, and I'll go through all the other relevant information as we fill out the form on the Nattrak website. So this is what it looks like. Please note that you have to be logged into Vatsim for this tool to work. As you may have noticed, some of the information is already filled in for us, but please note that this is not correct information. It is just some random data that has been pulled from our CID. I have often heard people getting confused over this, thinking that the Nattrak tool is suggesting that in our case we are crossing at Mach decimal 69, but that is obviously really slowly. I don't think that is actually even doable, but just like voice, you can request any Mach that you want. Regarding the flight level, then we have to request the flight level that we have been given with our pilot's briefing. The reason why it says 340 in our case is because I requested 340 out of Copenhagen and then planned to do 360 as a step climb, and just like in real life, they also do step climbs because the plane is getting lighter and lighter as fuel is burned, and then it would be more economic to do it that way. And blue scan 131, that is correct. We are going via track Alpha. Our entry fix is GOMOP. And our ETA is 1727 Zulu. TMI today is 114. and our requested flight level is 360. We are going Mach 0.83 and Toronto, Charlie, Yankee, Yankee, Zulu. And we'll just hit request Oceanic clearance.
319 at Aberdeen, requesting clearance to Heathrow.
And now all we have to do is wait. I'll now be checking the Nattrak website every couple of minutes to check if we have received our Oceanic clearance. Just a little tip: when you have got the message that clearance request received, then it is received. If you stay on the website for some more minutes, then you might have an error popping up that states that you already have sent a clearance request and there might be something wrong, but don't let that put you off, because they have received the request. My personal thought on the issue is that it's probably because your browser is doing some kind of auto refresh or something, but that does not mean that the clearance is not received, so you don't need to ask the domestic controller if they have received the request, because in most cases they will not know. So as long as you have got the green text saying request received, then everything should be fine. Anyways, I'll be back with you when we receive our Oceanic clearance. Okay, we have received our Oceanic clearance, so we will just let the local ATC know what is going to happen. And we are cleared to Toronto via track Alpha from Gomop. We have to maintain flight level 360 and Mach 0.83, so that is what we're going to tell the local controller. The last waypoint, waypoint Madat, is actually where we had to initiate our step climb for flight level 360, so we are going to request right away to do that step climb. That is also the appropriate level for our Oceanic crossing.
Blue scan 131, report ready for flight level 360.
And Blue scan 131, we are ready now for flight level 360.
Blue scan 131, roger, climb flight level 360.
Climb flight level 360, Blue scan 131, thank you.
Okay, it seems like he has been notified behind the scenes that we have obtained our Oceanic clearance. Normally you have to contact the local ATC yourself, but in this case I did not have time to do so. He was faster than I. That worked out perfectly.
Not yet. FedEx 270, 278. Blue scan 131, cut to Scottish 135.525.
Scottish on 135.525, Blue scan 131, bye-bye.
FedEx 278, cut to Scottish 135.525.
Scottish Control, good evening, Blue scan 131 with you, flight level 360, inbound Gomop.
Blue scan rather 131, Scottish Control, hello, continue.
Was pre-selected, I was going to request higher once I got over there. I didn't know whether or not I could.
Not with me, but if you wanted to give them a call on 123 9 at 5, just square away from speed, because that's remarkably slow.
Our estimated entry into Oceanic airspace have now changed with 3 minutes, so we'll have to call in with a revised estimate. We are now expecting Gomop at time 17:30 Zulu. I'll just request a frequency change and then we'll probably get a frequency to clearance delivery.
And Blue scan 131, request frequency change to report a revised estimate. And Blue scan 131, go ahead.
Blue scan 131, did I understand you wanted to go back to clearance delivery controller to get an updated Mach number?
Negative, we have a revised estimate for our entry, Blue scan 131.
Yeah, roger. I don't think that anyone's going to care, but give them a quick call 123.950 and report back on this frequency.
We'll try on frequency 123.950, blue scan 131, and we'll report back.
Emirates 2693, Scottish Control.
He's probably right about nobody caring about our estimate, but well, we gotta try to follow the rules, right?
N3 Heavy, we have a clearance,
And blue scan 131 with a revised estimate.
Blue scan 131, state your track, pass your estimate.
And blue scan 131, Nattrak Alpha, expecting come up at time 1730 Zulu.
Then you're on one frequency and tracks Bravo, Echo, Foxtrot and Uniform 2. Track Alpha would be 127.9.
We'll try frequency 127.9, blue scan 131, thank you for your help.
You're welcome, have a nice night.
Okay, so we were transferred to the wrong frequency. Oh well, that happens. We'll just try the other one.
And Shanwick radio, blue scan 131.
Relax 131 Shanwick, pass your message.
And blue scan 131 with a revised estimate, estimating come up at time 1730 Zulu.
Give me a moment, confirm you're going to track Alpha.
Affirm, Nattrak Alpha, blue scan 131.
Relax 131, taking the estimate.
Estimating come up at time 1730 Zulu, blue scan 131.
Blue scan 131, thank you, revised estimate for Google 1730 Zulu.
Read back correct and we'll return to domestic, blue scan 131.
Thank you.
Oceanic land destination Hamburg 42 Tango Heavy, requesting Oceanic clearance Boston, your track Alpha, flight level 400, Mach 0.85, and crossing Lemery at 1733 Zulu.
Okay, we are now going back to domestic just to be transferred back to Shanwick control, to Shanwick radio, sorry, once again. But well, you gotta follow the rules, and it also takes a lot of time when you are switching frequency 2-3 times, and you have to wait every time for a transmission to be done. But oh well, it worked out.
And Scottish control, blue scan 131 is back on the frequency.
Blue scan 131, you are just in time, crossing Gema. My service terminates. You can contact Shanwick radio now 131.450. Goodbye.
We'll call Shanwick on 131.450, blue scan 131, thank you for service.
Well, that was all a bit hectic, but we got to report our revised estimate, and we are now a few minutes away from our Oceanic entry fix. So we'll just give Shanwick radio a call in a few moments. When we are contacting Shanwick radio, we will not be giving them a position report, as it is not required during this event, since ADS-B is fully simulated, which means that our position will automatically be transmitted and available to air traffic control. If you want to hear more about how ADS-B and ADS-C works, then I'll provide a link here up in the corner to one of my other videos where we talk a lot more about ADS-B and ADS-C. But for now, when we are contacting Shanwick Control, we'll just be telling them where we are going next, to what region we are going next, and that would be Gander, You can see that in the flight plan. You can see the boundaries that you are crossing of the various regions. And for us it's going to be Gander. And then we'll request a cell call check to be sure that the cell call system is functioning as it should.
And Shanwick Radio, good evening, Bluescan 131, Gander next, request cell call check.
Bluescan 131, good evening. Shanwick, ADS identified. Stand by for cell call check.
Cell call check okay, Bluescan 131.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now well on our way and we have checked in with Shanwick Radio. So I'll just take a coffee break and I'll check in with you guys a little bit later.
Bluescan 131, Shanwick, go ahead.
Bluescan 131, contact Gander, frequency 131.570, bye-bye.
Gander on 131.570, Bluescan 131, thank you, bye-bye. Gander Radio, good evening, Bluescan 131, domestic next, request cell call check.
Bravo Lima X 131, Gander Radio, hello. Stand by, cell call check.
Cell call check okay, Bluescan 131. Gander Radio, Blue Scan 131, flight level 360, Nattrak Alpha.
We were just kind of unexpectedly transferred to another Gander radio controller, and he was requesting our Nattrak.
Blue Scan 131.
Ocean 131, can I have your point that you're estimating, that you're approaching?
Inbound 59er north 040 west, Blue Scan 131 estimating at 1941 Zulu.
Blue Scan 131, can radio, hello sir, your ADSB identified, watch this frequency.
Roger, Blue Scan 131.
Lufthansa Cargo 148 Heavy, just past 5, can you please take me?
That was the first 5.5 hours. We've got about 3 hours to go, and we are now in domestic airspace, so we'll give Gander a call in just a moment. We will also request a step climb to flight level 380 for the last portion of our flight.
Gander Center, good afternoon. Blue Scan 131 with you, flight level 360, overhead hoist.
Blue Scan 131, Gander Center, good afternoon. Welcome aboard.
And Blue Scan 131, request a step climb to 380. Climb flight level 380, thank you, Blue Scan 131.
We are about to enter the last phase of today's flight, the last bit of cruising. Until now it has been a really great event, really well coordinated, and everything has just been working out, and it has been really fun as well. And I'm sure the last part will be just as good, because we are landing in Toronto Pearson, and I really like flying in Canada. There's really not happening that much from now on. We'll just be transferred to Moncton, then to Montreal, and then at last to Toronto for our arrival into Toronto Pearson. I just want to take a second to thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so already, then be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. I'll let you enjoy the last part of the cruising with a little bit of music while I go straighten my back a little bit. It has been a long night already. And then I will of course be providing a briefing before our arrival into Toronto. See you in a little bit.
Scan 131, when ready, descend 8,000 feet to the Toronto altimeter 2979er, expect wind weight 23.
When ready, descend down to 8,000 feet on altimeter 2979 and we'll expect runway 23, blue scan 131.
Let's look at the charts and do a little briefing. So far we know that we can expect runway 23. We are not cleared for the arrival yet, but our last waypoint is Polti up here, and we have filed the IMABA 5 arrival. That does not mean that we are cleared to fly the arrival, but since we haven't got any other information, then I just assume until we hear something different that we can fly the IMABA 5, which is pretty straightforward. We are just going to, we have of course programmed it in the FMC, so we're just going to follow along the route here to Pergi, then to IMABA, and we have a restriction here at Pux, 220 knots, and we have to be at 8,000 feet, and then we just continue down this way, and then ultimately at Calvi, where our approach will start. And this is just a standard ILS approach. There's not much to talk about there, not other than we have to tune the Pearson VOR, since it seems that there is no DME on our ILS. So we'll of course just go ahead and do that. For the missed approach, we'll initially climb to 1,100 feet on runway heading. Then we'll be climbing further and right turn to 3,000 feet. We will intercept the radial 287 Toronto VOR to EECDOT. If we take a look at the airport layout here, as you can see, this airport is pretty big. We are coming in here on runway 23. We'll probably vacate somewhere around here, hotel 2 or 4. And then I bet that we are going to either Terminal 3 or Terminal 1, somewhere around here, but we'll see about that. That pretty much covers the arrival. Now there's not much left to do than to enjoy the views as we dive down through the clouds.
Toronto arrival on 132.8, blue scan 131. Thank you on YouTube, bye bye. Toronto arrival, good evening, blue scan 131. Passing flight level 100 for 8,000 feet, inbound Epux, and we have power on board.
Blue scan 131, Toronto, good day. ILS 23, the altimeter 2981, descent 3,000, receiver Calvin.
ILS runway 23, altimeter 2981 down to 3000 feet and proceed direct to Calvi. Scan 131.
Flight present heading, cleared ILS 24 right approach. Correction 23 approach.
And present heading for ILS runway 23, blue scan 131.
My bad for choosing a little less known call sign. And we can go ahead and arm the approach mode.
470, 470. Rudder. Canada 865, heavy contact tower now 118.7, good day. 118.7, have a good one, Air Canada 865. You too. Rouge 554, D10 4000. 4000, Rouge 554. Blue scan 131, contact tower now 118.7, okay.
Toronto 118.7, blue scan 131, good day.
Delta 470, left heading 270, finger tap cleared ILS 24 right approach speed 170 until NOAA. Left turn 270.
And Toronto, good day, blue scan 131 on the ILS runway 23, we are 10 miles final.
Blue scan 131 to attack, good evening, continue push number 2.
Blue scan 131.
1000.
Lufthansa 41 Heavy, welcome to Toronto, exit right for Nidwell, they will progress. Blue skin 131, Toronto Tower, wind 200 at 8, gusting 16, clear to line 23.
Runway 23, clear to land, blue scan 131.
Lufthansa 31 Alpha, contact on the ground now, 121.65, good day.
121.65, Lufthansa 31 Alpha, fine.
Toronto Lufthansa 470 Heavy, third time's the turn, ILS 24 right.
Lufthansa 470 Heavy, Toronto Tower, welcome back. Continue approach number 2.
Continue approach number 2, Lufthansa 470 Heavy.
Flight slow. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Air Canada 865, welcome to Toronto, exit right on Charlie 4, name report class.
Right on Charlie 4, Air Canada 865.
Blue scan 131, welcome to Toronto, exit left on Hotel 2, name report class.
We are exiting via Hotel 2 and we are clear, blue scan 131.
Blue scan 131, Roger, welcome to Toronto, contact ground now, 121.65, good day.
Ground on 121.65, blue scan 131, thank you, good day.
Air Canada 865, welcome to Toronto, contact ground now, 121.65, good day.
2165, have a go 1 Air Canada 865.
Lufthansa 470 Heavy, Toronto Tower, wind 200 at 8, gusting 16, clear line 248.
Clear to land 24 right, Lufthansa 470 Heavy.
Toronto ground, good evening, blue scan 131 on Hotel 2.
Skin 131, Toronto ground, hello, make a left there, hotel, cross runway 15 right and 15 left, do you have a preferred parking?
Negative, we don't have a preferred parking, then a left on Hotel, cross runway 15 right and left, blue scan 131.
131, roger, it'll be Hotel Bravo Alpha Lima across those two runways there. Canada 865.
We are at Hotel 2, then we have to take a left onto Hotel, cross runway 15 right, and cross runway 15 left as well, and on the other side via Bravo all the way down here to Alpha Lima, so that is going to be a fairly long taxi, and then we'll probably be assigned some kind of stand here at Terminal 1.
Canada 865, actually amend that, it'll be right turn Charlie, apron entry Delta Quebec.
Right turn Charlie, Delta Quebec, Air Canada 865.
confirm the stand that we are going to?
And 131 anywhere but 177, gate of your choice.
Stand of choice, any gate but 177, blue scan 131.
Top crew, doors to manual, please.
Good evening, Toronto ground chassis. Yes, read you on Alpha. Request taxing to Alpha Foxtrot parking area, if possible.
Alpha Hotel Delta ground, hello, straight ahead there, Alpha Foxtrot parking, your choice.
Roger that, straight ahead on Alpha.
And we have made it to the gate in Toronto. 8.5 hours. Cross the Pond westbound 21 is coming to an end, and I really enjoyed participating in the event. There's not much more left than to sign off with the controller and then straight to bed.
And blue scan 131, we are on the blocks. Thank you and your colleagues for a great event. Hope to see you again sometime. Bye bye.
Skin 131, thanks, you've been great, thanks for flying Toronto, hope to see you again sometime.
Lufthansa 319 is also on the blocks. Thanks for your service and for the great event today. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
The 31 Alpha, thanks for flying Toronto, we'll hope to see you again sometime, you've been awesome.
And the cleaning crew has arrived. Self-loading cargo is providing those vacuuming sounds you hear in the background. Let us just turn the volume a bit down of that vacuum cleaner there. I have not much more left to say. Then thank you a lot for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed today's flight. Well, I can tell you I have. If you have any questions or any ideas, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. And at last, I really hope to see you next time for another flight. Thank you again for watching.